Perfect. Okay. So now tips as far as presentation goes, right? Um, what is very, 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 very important when you're presenting is going to be your background. Your background is going to be very important. Keep this in mind. When people look at you, they're immediately going to equate you to the actual company itself, right? They're going to look at you and be like, okay, Sean represents AIL. That's how AIL is going to look. Not bad. They're going to say, okay, Steve represents AIL. Okay, boom. I can understand. They're going to say Pedro represents AIL. Like looking at you guys, you are the company. You're the company. So regardless on how you may feel about your own personality, how you may feel about your appearance, people judge every single day. You do it, I do it, we do it. We judge. So you just make sure their first glance at you is almost like you would buy from you, or you would trust you, or you would give you the time of day. Does that make sense? So you should immediately look like a professional. You got to have something in the background that says, okay, I'll be here. This is what I do. Like my awards behind me, they're very strategic. My camera angle, very strategic because I'm showing my wife and myself in my picture. I'm showing my awards, which say I've been here for a while. I got an extra computer right in the screen that shows I do a lot of work, right? All these small little things I'm doing on 100% purpose. 100%. When I'm at the house, I make sure my camera is angled so it's perfect in the screen. I don't have it pointing super up. I don't have it pointing super down because guess what? Everything matters. Everything matters. So the smallest things could lose you to sale. That's one thing to keep in mind. Clearly, groomed up, nice shirt. I wear a blazer most of the time when I'm presenting, just to kind of show them again, I'm a professional. I don't go over the top because I don't want you to feel like I think I'm better than you because I'm not. So it's just a relation thing. Makes sense. It's like it's amazing how that works. I used to when I first started, I used to go out in like a 3-button shirt, just like some Dickie dress pants and like polo boots. And I thought that was like dressing up. And I kept wondering why a lot of people wouldn't even let me in the door. I couldn't figure it out. Then I ended up reading a book and it talked about how important just your clothes are. You know what I mean? How important being groomed up is, how important all these things is. And man, put a suit on, went in the house, and I didn't sell them, but I can tell they respected me so much when I walked in the door that the rapport and the conversation was so much easier because they knew they were talking to a guy who knew what the hell he was talking about. Appearance is everything. Now, next thing is this expectations, right? Moving forward, some of you guys were in different areas. Some just got the script, so we're working a week on the script. Some have actually even started the actual training itself. I know Pedro, you started your training already, right? So you're on your week 1.
Yep.
The most important thing to understand right now is your job. If you put in as much time as you possibly can, you're going to learn everything a lot faster. Now, do I expect you guys to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week? I don't. I didn't. But when you look at it, you have to understand when you're getting information down, if one person is putting in 30 hours and one person is putting in 60 hours, the person in 60 hours in 1 year is going to be 1 year past the person putting in 30. So it's just a mindset. In the beginning, you're going to run extremely fast, so it gives you the chance to slow down. Because I told you guys earlier about that skill set and work ethic. The skill set is not there. You have to build it up. You have to build it up, and you clearly build it up by experience. I gave an analogy before as well about when I first learned to drive. Like I got lost in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like my older brother taught me how to drive. He used to steal my mama car and teach me how to drive. But anyway, my older brother taught me how to drive. And we was literally 2 blocks away from my mom's house. And my brother was like, all right, man, go home. I was like, which way do I turn? You know what I mean? And he like, what? He looked at me like, oh, something wrong with you? I'm like, no, which way do I turn? And he gave me the direction or whatever. And what I figured out, like all these years later, looking back, hindsight 2020, I'm like, I was concentrating so hard that I couldn't even pay attention to my surroundings. I didn't want to mess up. I wanted to be perfect, right? So I was just really, really, really focused. Well, we continued our lessons. Day number 3, I was a little bit more loose, right? I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and put the window down a little bit, turn the radio up just a little. I'm still focused though. About a week and a half into it, I had the windows down, radio up, talking on the phone. You know what I mean? It like gave me the opportunity to do other things because I was comfortable with the process now, doing it over and over and over. Well, that's the exact way your training is going to be. In the beginning, you're going to be just so intact with learning verbiage and figuring out the Zoom and all these other things that is not going to allow you time to truly think about the concept of what you're doing. And that's okay. So as you repeat it over and over and over, it'll become like second nature to you. And then you can start actually watching the client for different signals, folding arms, looking away, looking up, eyes rolling. You'll be able to pay attention to a lot more things so that you can jump on those signs when they happen and you can defeat them. Does that make sense? Because what is an absolute true study is a person talking to you with their arms folded. It also means that their mind is closed to whatever you're talking about. So you should definitely address that. Because what sucks is going through an entire presentation, the person had their arms folded in the very beginning, and at the end they tell you some shit like, I don't want to go, I don't need it. Well, guess what? You could have addressed that up front and gave yourself a lot better chances at taking care of that family. So at that point, you would have to blame yourself for not noticing the signs. Sales is just as much psychological as it is an actual physical process. People are indecisive by nature. Think about it. What you want to eat? No, what you want to eat? I don't know what you want to eat. You pick. Leave me alone. Think about it. That's my me and my wife conversation like every other night. What you want? I don't know. What you want? You pick. No, you pick. People want to be led. They want to be told exactly what to do and how to do it, which is where we come in at. We're nothing more than advisors. I don't really even consider this sales. I ask questions, put their information in the computer comes up with a plan, and I let them know, in my professional opinion, I believe this is what you should go with. I mean, who goes to the doctor's office and tell the doctor, no, doc, I don't want you to do that operation to save me. I want you to do this one. It doesn't happen. The doctor comes out and he tells you this is wrong. This is why it's wrong. This is how we fix it. Oh, okay, great. Well, as long as you can fix it, let's do it, doc. You think if the doctor would have gave them every single step in detail of the process they're about to perform, do you think that most people would still say yes to the operation? Of course not. That kind of ties into, as far as the sales goes, when sales agents try to spit out every single thing that they've learned since they've been working here, you give the client too much information, you're giving them too much to think about. They're confused. I gotta be like a freaking PhD in insurance overnight dealing with you, so I need some time to process this information. Not gonna work. There's a saying we use around here. It's KISS. Keep it simple, salesperson. Salesperson. Keep it simple, salesperson. And we don't say the stupid word around here.
That's how I learned. That's what I learned.
Me too. No, me too. We just changed it here. It's all good. We just changed it here. The deal is there are no stupid Okay, there are stupid questions. I just won't laugh at you out loud in front of people. Yeah, that is definitely 100% not true that there's no stupid questions. Now, again, right now, the absolute script is the most important thing. The most important thing. On the paperwork, we do say learn verbatim, but I'm going to tell you the absolute truth is when you are on Zoom, you can have your script out. They can't see it. They can't see it. But what I do not need you doing, I am Steve with American Income. The first thing we're gonna go over is like that can't happen. That can't happen. The script is just a script. Like you bring it to life. Does that make sense? You bring the script to life. The script is just a script if you don't actually bring it to life. Now, we say verbatim for the simple fact I need you extremely familiar with the script so that you can think of other things like what we talked about earlier, arms being folded, right? Eyes gazing off, multiple conversations in the background. Because if I'm speaking with you and you speaking to somebody else in the background, I'm gonna stop every single thing I'm doing and they're gonna look at me funny and I'm gonna say, I was just waiting till you finish. That's what I'm gonna do because I need your full attention when I'm speaking because I'm that important and you're that important. Your family is that important, so I don't come across selfish. Does that make sense? So I need your full attention when we are speaking on your benefits. So I'll just wait and give you time to wrap it up. No big deal. Ha 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 ha. We go laugh and I'm gonna sit there and wait. No worries. Because if they're not engaged with you, if they're not paying attention to you, how well do you think your presentation is going to go? Every single time you have to repeat yourself, you are diminishing your message. Every single time somebody says, say that again, because the problem is if they halfway heard you, so from what you say, they mumble and say something like, I thought you said that. Now your message is kind of not the exact same. It's almost like, and y'all can try this. If somebody like screams at you or yells at you, ask them to repeat that again in like a calm voice. And the next time they repeat it, their voice is going to be calm again. Because it's like almost impossible to yell or scream and fuss at somebody in the same exact thing, unless y'all like in a crazy argument. Like that's completely different. So yeah. People's mind just works that way for some reason. It always has been that way. Don't know why. The things I read, I just try them out. So I would never really say something to you guys that I haven't done myself or that I don't know works. And if I haven't actually tried it before, that'll be my disclaimer too. I haven't done it, but it seems like this would be a good thing to do. So I'm always straightforward on that for a fact. Now, back into the script. Does everybody have the script printed out?
No, I do need to do that.
Okay, yeah, definitely printing it out. It's kind of hard to learn on the screen. You can have it up on the screen for your presentation, but it's just something about having it in your hand that makes it a lot easier to learn. Something about having it, pick it up in the air, put it down, pick it up, put it down. There's something about that that gets your mind rolling in the right direction. Now, back to the script. Every single part of that script is wrote, purposeful. Every single part matters. Have anybody did sales before, like legal sales? Anybody at all?
Not legal.
Come on, we know what word we're living in now. Come on. So
Car sales,
Steve,
yeah.
say it again.
Car sales.
Car sales. Steve, you definitely done sales before. Jen, sales before.
No.
Sean.
A long time ago, yeah.
Amanda.
No.
Okay, the absolute truth is, honestly, everybody sold stuff before. Whether you sold yourself, whether you sold an idea, whether you freaking convinced somebody, everybody sold before, period. My job is to teach you when you're selling, when you're not selling, and different methods of actually selling. Everybody sold before. But for like Steve and Pedro cost sales, it's a step-by-step process to sales. Like if you read a book, it'll tell you like introduce yourself, tell them what you're there for, get to work. It's like those are kind of like the basis of sales 101. So our script is broken down with sales 101 in mind. So if you think that, okay, well, this part might not be that important, let me cut this out so I can move faster. What you are doing is you're cutting out a very, very, very important element of sales. Does that make sense? Very, very, very important element. So I'm going to pull the script up real quick. Give me about 2 seconds here. This is clearly why we use Zoom, because Zoom allows us to basically share with the client exactly what we're doing so that we all stay on the same page. Like it's a trust thing. Like imagine reading off a bunch of questions to somebody and they're just sitting there like, why is he asking me that? You know what I mean? So by showing some of the materials that we do use, it kind of solidifies and gives us a lot of credibility as we're rolling through it. So now let me share this. All right, so everybody should be looking at the script right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, so again, this script is put together in a very particular way for a very specific reason. By the way, when I got here, the script was like maybe 16 pages, and we had to learn it verbatim, and we were actually in people's homes, so it was no cheat sheets. We just had to make it work. So just understand with the revolution, man, or the evolution rather, especially when COVID came around, we have never been on Zoom until COVID. Like maybe a week into COVID, the company had developed not even a script, but they developed putting everything on Zoom. So we was for the most part almost winging it, but getting through the process, trying to make it better, trying to make it stronger. So this script is like a year and some COVID change in the making. Does that make sense? So we have developed pretty much the best aspects of what we've seen worked. And we put it into one script. And it's amazing. It's life-changing. It's definitely life-changing. Now, certain parts of this script, if you ever see the agency script, ours is a little bit different. Because again, I was telling you guys about our leaders. We have some of the sharpest leaders in the business. So we were able to change a few words around based off the things we ran into, trying to basically beat objections before we ever get them. Does that make sense? So it's to beat the resistance out before we receive any resistance. So now to the introduction. As I told you guys before, the sales is very, very, very structured in how to do it. Introduction, why you're there, get to business. So introduction, at this part right here in yellow, notice it says whatever's in black and highlighted yellow, you should go through verbatim, right? Verbatim, meaning use these exact words. Now, do I care if you mix up a he or they every now and again? Of course not. I don't. But be as close to this as you possibly can. For the absolute best results, I would recommend using the exact words that's actually highlighted in yellow. Now, I'm going to read through it real quickly. I'm going to touch on a few points on what I know for sure is a verbatim deal. And then again, I'll definitely give you guys time to ask me questions along the way to make sure we stay on the same page. Joker say battery running low. Give me about 2 seconds. I knew it was something I forgot to do. All right, boom. Okay. So now again, do we have any questions up to this point so far on anything we discussed? Perfect. Okay. Now keep in mind, I can't see everybody right now. I kind of got it like just with one person on the screen. All I see is Amanda. So matter of fact, let me see here. Boom. Okay. So now introduction. I'm going to just read it out. So, it's a two-part program. The first part, I'll go over the child safety kits that you requested and they're going to pay for by the police union. The second part is the police union knows if something happened to the parents, it would be devastating for the kids. So what they put together is a permanent life insurance package for the family. Now, being straightforward, you do have to qualify for the additional benefits and every family doesn't. So I really won't know until I get there. I'm just a very straightforward person. Now, with all that being said, do I have your permission to be 100% honest with you? Do you think people will tell you no if you tell them that?
Nope.
Do I have your permission to be honest, Sean?
No, definitely not.
I don't have your permission. What? I'm gonna end the call. If I have to lie to you, I'm ending the call. Do I have your permission to be honest, Sean?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna tell you why that small line is so important. When you get to the very end and they tell you something like, I need to think about it, or we have enough insurance, or I don't have the money to pay for it, I'm gonna say, Sean, you remember in the beginning when you said I could be honest with you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how in the world can you handle paying $200 a month for cable, but you can't handle $100 a month to protect your family? What
Priorities
can
are-
you tell me? You said I could be honest, so I almost have your permission to get to the end and be an asshole. But if I didn't sink that line, if I didn't solidify that line, once I get to the end, you tell me what you said and I say what I said. And like, I know this fool didn't just tell me that. So it's almost like a prerequisite to have to get or to willingly get extremely tough with you if I have to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now
Yes.
it's a few typos along the way. Truth be told, out of all this time, I kind of just noticed them. So yeah, that was me. Yeah. So we're gonna fix that. It's okay, but they won't see your words anyway. Only you see them. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So side note, please don't go through our script correcting our grammar. Please don't. Please don't. Understand I don't like type emails the way I talk, which is weird. But anyway, so the introduction, very, very, very important. Each line in there, right? Parents request child safety kits all the time through the police union as well as online. Some of you guys, if you have grandkids or kids and you post anything about them on Facebook, you've probably seen a few things about no-cost child safety kits. So in that script, I told you I'm going to get you the child safety kits. And on top of that, we're going to go through some life insurance for your family. That way, people don't feel like a bait and switch. Don't feel like I tried to give you something free. Now, all of a sudden, I'm bringing up life insurance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is the entire reason that we wrote that paragraph. That is an added paragraph. I hate for people to feel like they've been swindled out of something or even swindled into something, because I know how I would feel if I requested something and then when it got to me, it ended up being something else. So that entire paragraph on that portion is very important because I'm kind of telling you the expectations. It's like going to church. I don't know about everybody in church, but in Baptist churches, the pastor can have a reputation for going extremely long, like extremely long. And if it's no points to it, no bullet points, no 1, 2, 3 part, 4 part, we used to sit in church just wondering when he was going to be done. Like we never really knew. But when the pastor stood up saying, all right, y'all, it's going to be 3 points today, we know when he got to point number 2, we was almost out of there. And it's just something about that kind of gave us refreshing on knowing where we were in the process. It's like traveling. When you're going to a new destination, getting there always seems the longest because you don't know the checkpoints along the way. coming back is always easier because, oh, I remember that tree. Oh, I remember that store. So now it's an easier path going back the same exact way. In the introduction, you let your client know exactly what to expect from you, all the way down to the fact of being 100% honest with you. Because in the beginning, that line means something totally different to them. Oh, this guy said he's going to be honest with me. I hope you would, is what they're thinking. But come to find out, once you get to the end, you bring that joker back up, and then it helps in your favor, period. Now, it says something about a course. I'm going to go ahead and get everything started up. And while I set everything up, I'm going to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. Tell me about yourself. So everybody definitely write down rapport. R-A-P-P-O-R-T. Like I used to spell it R-A-P-P-O-R-E, how it sounds. And when I looked at the actual word, I was like, that ain't what that is. But I kind of found out later. Like when I say later, I've been here for 8 years in July. So I'll probably find out how to spell rapport like 2 or 3 years into it. Like, go figure. Being honest. But this is the rapport part while I get everything set up. Now, the original script, what it says is that, you know, before we get into working, before anything begins, you're supposed to like get on the computer and just start asking a bunch of questions about the family and asking about the job and asking about the hobbies. And it was always hard for me to just strike up a conversation in the beginning. Like, it's hard for me to just talk about something out of thin air, like extremely hard. So what was developed was a way to get around that everybody could do, whether you're an extrovert or introvert, either way. So the thought process behind it is, let's use, all right, Steve.
Yes.
Let's say your AC broke at the house, right? It's the middle of summer in Houston. AC broke. It's like 102 outside, 118 on the inside. You call me up, I'm the repairman. I come to your house to fix your AC, but the first thing I do when I get there, I sit on your couch and I'm like, so Steve, how's the family? What do you do for fun? How long you been in the area? Oh, that's great, Steve. Meanwhile, it's 118 degrees in your house. What are you thinking?
Thinking this guy.
Like,
Let's
dude,
talk about it later. Just fix my AC right now.
fix my air. It is hot, right? But on the flip side now, I come to your house. I begin taking the AC apart. And I'm like, so Steve, man, how long you been in the area? How's the family? What do you do for fun? Now you're more amped to answer these questions for me because I've started working. I'm doing my job. I'm just passing time, right? Same concept, same concept. So now I flip that so that, you know, while I go ahead and get everything set up, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Now you can ask whatever you want to ask. We will definitely have more report tips moving forward so it doesn't sound like an interrogation, because that's the last thing you want to do. But we'll get into a few more details on how to carry on with rapport. But what's already written on the script is the word form, F-O-R-M, form. Form stands for family, occupation, recreation, and me. Family, do you have family in the area? How long? Y'all close? Great. Occupation, what do you do for work? What got you into that? Great. Recreation, what do you do for fun? Wow, have you been doing that or is that new? Cool, right? And then me. Yeah, well, I actually tried that before, but for me, I just sucked at it, so it wasn't a good deal at all. It wasn't a good fit for me, right? Tying yourself into it, making it make sense. Truth be told, although every last one of us on this call are very, very, very different, I bet we have a lot more in common than you believe. And I'm sure we can find things to make it seem like we have it in common. Any Cowboys fans on here by chance?
No,
Yeah.
Okay, so what me and you have in common, Pedro, is absolutely nothing. I hate the Cowboys. How about that? And
yeah, I made that mistake already.
I hate the fans even more.
I can't stand the Cowboys.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh,
Steve,
my
you're
God.
gonna be promoted. You're gonna be promoted right when we hang this call up, Steve. Pedro, I don't know how long it's gonna take you, brother. I'm sorry. Anyway, but it's always something because what me and Pedro have in common is the sport of football. Easy work. Easy work. We have football in common. So now we can move forward. We can talk about football. And believe it or not, I love Cowboy fans in presentations because I can tell them how much I hate them. So watch this, what this does for the client though. It lets them know that I'm not just going to agree with something because they agree with it. Bless you. Right?
Thank you.
So now at
Right.
the end, when I give them my professional opinion, they're thinking in their mind, you know what? I can believe it because if he didn't believe it, he would say so because he talked about my Cowboys so bad in the beginning. You follow me?
Yeah.
There are some agents, some salespeople across the board that will agree with every single thing the client says, and it comes across so freaking cheesy you wouldn't believe. Like, if everything is the same with me and the client, it's a problem. Oh, your birthday that day, mine too. Oh, you got a Lamborghini? Me too. Oh, your house is 4-bedroom? Wow, that's crazy. Me too. Like, it can't be everything. Everything can't match. I have a 3-match rule in my head. 3-match rule. If I find 3 similarities with you and my family, I'm gonna call it out up to 3 times. On the 3rd time, I'm gonna say, all right, so look, this is too weird. I'm not matching nothing else with your family. We just gonna act like it doesn't exist, and then we'll continue moving forward. Because again, I want to let them know that I'm a person. I'm not a salesman. I'm different. I'm different than the people that are just gonna agree with you just to get your business. I'm gonna tell you what you need to know to get your business. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. That's why when a person calls me for insurance and tell me they want to buy a certain amount of insurance, my response to them is, I can either enroll you in what you want, or I can enroll you in what you need. Which one would you prefer? Well, what you need, exactly. That's when I go through my regular program and I truly give them what they need. Makes sense? Wants versus needs, very, very big. Now, understand this. We give away a lot of benefits at no cost. No cost. Not free, because nothing in this world is free. And people run from the word free. They run from it. Free, something is wrong, some kind of strings. What's the string? What's the attachment? What is the catch? No cost benefits. Because although you're not paying for them, somebody is. Does that reference make sense?
Yes.
Like, we all on this call know that nothing in the world is free. And when you say free, the first thing you think in your mind is a catch. First thing. So again, no cost. So who has an idea why we give away no cost benefits? Anybody? Somebody?
I mean, when like who doesn't? I feel like it makes it more valuable. Like it sounds more valuable.
That makes sense. Anybody else?
It makes the prospect become more invested in what's going on, because building up the program, it makes it easier to move into the actual sell once they're getting those benefits at no cost.
Spot on, spot on. Jen, what you think?
I mean, I would agree that makes it look more attractive. When you add benefits, especially later on, you can
This
just
is what
make
I
the
appreciate
policy.
about this. What I appreciate about your answer, Jen, is that when you said you agree, you didn't like leave it at I would agree with what Steve said, and then just sat there. You still actually, expressed to me how you felt about it. That's like a tip to everybody. And I know Mike Vasu hates it. I hate it. Like I'm like, hey, Jen, what you think? Yeah, what Steve said. I'm like, no, let's say it as well. So I appreciate that. Pedro, what you think, brother?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, I don't want it to sound bad the way I say it, but like it's a good way to get in the door, get people to open doors more freely.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
not bad.
yeah, no, I don't know. But I feel like, it's a good way to get people to open door more freely and be able to listen to us with open arms, open
For sure.
ears.
Sean.
I think it's a pretty good idea. At least me, I like to know as much information as possible right off the bat, so that way I feel informed.
Everybody was right. We left out one of the most important things. The first thing is, though, to kind of touch on it, it is an introduction to insurance. Like if you need one of the no-cost benefits, you like if it's $2,000 and you signed up for that, requested that saying you need that for $2,000, you don't think that person needs permanent insurance? Like I was signing up for a freaking $2,000 accidental benefit. So how do you think they'll act for $300,000 of permanent insurance? And the need?
Yeah.
Right.
So in your mind, you clocking that. Like, okay, I got you a no cost benefit. So when I segue into the other insurance, you're all over it. The other thing I heard, which was spot on, right, is that people seem or feel like, okay, well, I'm already vested. I got this from, so I can go ahead and hear them out. Definitely true as well. Definitely true. The biggest thing is referrals. The biggest thing, the no cost benefits are straight up and down used to collect referrals. Referrals. Understand this. Our closing ratio across the board, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. Our closing ratio across the board, 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4. That means every 4 people you sit down with want to say yes, right? 33 to like a 26% closing ratio across the board. Side notes, all sales in the entire sales field is closing 1 out of 20. Look it up, take it to the bank. Our deal is broken down to 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4. Now, referrals are closing at 5 to 6 out of 10. Think about that. 50 to 60% closing ratio on referrals. Who would you rather sit down with? The generated leads or the referrals?
Your referral.
Keep
Referrals,
it
no brainer.
simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The reason why is I go out and see Sean. Sean is a union member, and Sean sponsors his close friend Pedro into the program. So Sean actually calls Pedro, give Pedro the heads up. Hey man, I talked to my insurance guy. I mean, he's like cool as shit, man. He's gonna be giving you a call to sell you some insurance. Pedro like, oh, okay, cool, Sean, perfect. Hang up. I call Pedro, I set the appointment. My job now is to go over there and just find the area where it fits your budget. Sean done my work for me. That's the honest to God truth. That's why the closing ratio is so high. Well, Darren, if it's that easy, why the closing ratio not 100%? Why is it not 10 out of 10? That's a great question. I'm glad y'all asked, right? Because with insurance, everybody can't qualify for it. Everybody can't. A new diagnosis, you can't qualify for up to a year. Hospital stay, can't qualify for a year. multiple health issues, you might not be able to qualify ever. Cancer, you out of the box for at least 2 years in remission. Stroke, at least 2 years. It's certain instances to where you cannot qualify for life insurance. Not to mention, no bank account can't qualify with us until you get a bank. Make sense?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we don't go out to people's house every single month and collect a check. That's the old school way. That's the old school insurance, man. I'm sorry, I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not. See, Sean, Steve, you've been through it. I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not gonna show up like days before your deal is due, hoping you're there to get this check. Like, people hate you extremely fast when you showing up to get money from them, even if they owe it to you. They hate you for it, right?
Right.
We got automatic draft, baby. We got automatic draft. Hey, I call you and check on you. Hey, how you doing? When you're cooking, okay, great, and that's it. Like, I don't even call them asking about the money because it's an automatic draft. Automatic draft, automatic draft. This is how we're able to get our renewals and everything so fast due to the automatic drafts. We keep it simple. You know, the old school insurance man, park at the end of the street and just walk down the street and knock on every door that they come across.
Yep.
We don't do that no more. We got leads. We got people who actually fill out a card saying that they want to speak with us. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean that when you call, you're going to be welcomed with open arms. I don't mean that. I want to be honest. Because Jennifer, just because you selected, you wanted to talk to me today, you was in a great mood, everything was working out, you had breakfast, you know, the kids acting great, got all A's. That don't mean within 2 weeks, the kids didn't get suspended from school, right? You didn't eat, you're hungry, your stomach hurting. Who knows how you feeling that day? When I call you, I might catch the brunt of that, right? We're people. We're moody. We change our mind. That's okay. But just know that when you call that person, they're just another number on your actual computer that you've called. That's all that means. It's not you that they're mad at. They don't even know you. It's the phone call. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
One thing to, oh my goodness, please, 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 please write this down. Please write this down. Remove the feelings. Remove the emotions. Govern everything by the numbers, and you'll be okay. Remove the feelings. Remove the emotions, govern everything by the numbers, and you'll be okay. So what I mean by that is we have everything broken down to the number here. Numbers do not lie. We have everything broken down with data, right? You make 30 to 45 calls an hour. You're gonna book 2 appointments an hour. You're doing that for 4 to 5 hours, you're booking 8 to 10 appointments. I'm gonna repeat this, but you go out on 8 to 10 appointments, you'll end up seeing 4 to 5 people. You see 4 to 5 people a day, you'll have 1.5 enrollments a day. Imagine going directly after the numbers and they're always standing true.
Can you break that down one more time?
30 to 45 calls an hour. It's you 2 appointments an hour. 2 appointments an hour, of course, 4 to 5 hours gets you 8 to 10 appointments. 8 to 10 appointments, you're sitting down with 4 to 5 people daily. And remember, our closing ratio was 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4. So you're closing 1.5 deals a day. That's the game plan. Now, understand this. If you're closing 1 person every 3 to 4 people, that does not mean that every 3 to 4 people you sit down with, the number is going to work that exact way. I used a guy named CJ. Probably about 3 weeks ago, CJ went like 10 appointments or 10 presentations rather with 0 enrollments. 0. But presentation 11, 12, 13, and 14 were all sales. The numbers always balance out. Like, I don't know how. I don't even care why, but they always balance out because these numbers are company-wide, not just here, not just my team, not just this week, but they are company-wide, and it never lets me down. Never. But understand this. Those numbers are the baseline, right? What I mean by that is sometimes it may take me a lot less appointments to get the same result. Maybe in the beginning, it takes you more appointments to get that result because, again, you have to get your skills intact. But the numbers never, ever, ever lie. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I like extreme clarity, man. I like to always know that you and I are on the same page. And what's also in this script is what I've been doing with y'all the whole time is what's called tie downs. So you can write down tie down, TIEDOWNS, and you can circle it because that is going to be your best friend throughout your presentation. All the tie down is, it's like a checkpoint. It's like me making sure that y'all understand what I was saying and didn't have no questions up to this point. That's a tie down. Because if you go through your presentation and you don't ask your client, are you on the same page as me, or are we together, or do you have anything else you need me to go over, you're gonna lose them. You're gonna lose them. It's like walking through a forest with like your best friend. You've been through the forest plenty of times they never been through before in life, and like you run through the middle and get to the other edge and turn around and scream, "Hurry up!" And like, what the hell are you talking about? Versus as you walking through the forest, y'all talking, y'all chit-chat, going back and forth, and next thing you know, you're on the other edge and didn't even know what you were done. That's the way you want this thing to feel. You want to get to the very end, to the close, and they don't even know they was closed because it was so smooth. That's how you want it to be. You do that by mere conversations. We don't give lectures, we have conversations. We don't do actual presentations because when I hear presentations, I hear bullet points, slideshows, I hear boring shit all day long. So I'm more interactive than anything. Does that make sense? Yeah, dude? Yeah, no, same page?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Okay. So now, through the no-cost benefits, we got child safety ID kits, self-explanatory. It's the kits that's tied in with the Amber Alert system. So if the kids go missing, it has the fingerprints and the pictures and everything of the children to protect those kids. Very, very, very important. Never discount what you're doing. Never discount it. Hold it up. AIL Plus card. AIL Plus card is basically works in conjunction with people's insurance. As you can read, it's a gap filler. You know, it protects them with insurance coverage where their insurance coverage doesn't protect them. Super huge discounts, 6% eye care, hearing aids, prescription drugs. I mean, you can definitely read the deal, but very, very, very important benefits. Very important benefits, especially for households that do not have insurance. And a biggest thing about it is it works for every member at the house. As long as they have the address, the AIL Plus card will work for all the family members. Now, scrolling down to AD&D benefit. Again, it's a $2,000 benefit. Look at that number 4 line. Because Patrick, if I tell you I have a $2,000 benefit, we as people, for some reason, we discount it like it's no money. Like I was in the freaking the car store the other day, man, and it was some guys in there buying lottery tickets, right? And one of the guys was like, yeah, man, I'm finna buy this lottery ticket. And the other guy was like, oh man, I don't know why. It ain't nothing but 4 million this time.
Oh.
It was like nothing but 4 million. I mean, just because last week it was 20 million, it don't make 4 million, less significant. It don't. Like how much you have on your bank account. That's what I was thinking. Like if you're saying 4 million is nothing, but the fact of the matter is we as people, we do that. We do that. We're like, oh, that little 2,000, that ain't nothing. When truth be told, if I gave you $2,000, I bet you wouldn't turn it down. It's 5% of people in the world that's making $2,000 a week. 5%. And you mean to tell me that it's not a lot of money at all? Yeah, right. So with that number 4 line, with the number 4, that's where we address that at. Remember I told you guys beating objections before they're an objection?
Yep.
Hey man, look, I know 2,000 isn't all the money in the world, but if Joe died and his income was gone forever, I'm more than sure this would help out, right? What will they say? Now all of a sudden, this ain't nothing but a 2,000 comment leaves from their mind. So can y'all see why that line is so important?
Yep.
Everything matters. In this script, everything matters. Everything matters. So now you ask them who the beneficiary is. They give you an actual name, again, attaching ownership to it, right? This is not for your beneficiary to pay out. This is for your husband, John, when you would have died. This is for your wife, Susan, if you would have died. Putting a name on it builds an attachment to it. So it's already like it's theirs. Already like it's theirs. Now, scrolling down, it talks about the will kit. We also give out will kits. Will kits are big. When people request will kits with us, it's normally older people. Truth is, sometimes it's mid-aged people. But the will kit and life insurance go hand in hand, period. So we don't actually sit there and fill out the will kit with them, but we do go through a few important parts on it just to let them know it's not a bait and switch, and then we continue moving throughout the process. Make sense?
Yep.
Easy enough.
Yep.
Okay, so then I talked about referrals already. Jump into the referrals, and again, I'm going to teach you guys several ways to get referrals. I feel like I am by far one of the best in the agency at obtaining referrals because it's all in the verbiage. If you just ask somebody things like, hey, who do you know who needs this? Nobody. It's too much work. But if I ask you something like, who is some of the closest friends that you're typically with, people you would go hang out with after work, who would you call at the job if you were running late? Who would you call to fix your car if it broke down, right? If you give them specific people to go after, then it's a lot easier for them to think of names as well as to give them to you. It's like an extraction process at that point in time. Not to mention, if I asked you earlier in rapport about your family, and you told me you had like 4 brothers and sisters, in my mind, that's already 4 referrals for me. Everything, again, is intentional. Everything is for a purpose. Now, after the referrals, definitely lets you know whether to contact them and just to basically let them know I'll be reaching out. This is like the example I gave with Sean and Pedro, of course, while Sean already called Pedro and let him know I was going to reach out. Makes my job a lot easier. He done my work for me. All I'm doing is going behind him again and finding a price that actually fits, period. Now, the needs analysis. All right, I take that back. It goes from referrals, and then now we're down basically as far as let me make sure I'm doing this correct. We got 2. Perfect. Okay. So needs analysis, right? Basically, this is the portion that's gonna get together exactly what's good for the client. Old school insurance 101, what an insurance agent would do was come out to the person's house, get a lot of information from them. Then they'll leave the house, go sit down with some underwriters, go through all this information, then go back to the client's house again with what they came up with. Well, that process takes too long and it takes up a lot of your time. So what we do is the needs analysis portion directly in the house with the client. When I say directly in the house, we mean directly on Zoom, whatever you want to call it. So we get to our needs analysis and we ask them a few questions, enter those questions in the computer, and the computer calculates everything all by itself. This joker literally make you look like an insurance sales guru, period. It makes you look like a pro that been doing this for years on top of years. All you're doing, entering in information in the computer, and you press submit. The computer calculates and it says, okay, this family needs income protection. This family needs mortgage protection. This family needs college education. Everything pops up that's pretty much directly tailored to that actual family, and your job is just to explain it. That's your job. Your job is to take the information and articulate it in a way into which they can fully understand. We talked about the pastor earlier. Well, his job is to break down the Bible into a way that people can understand it. Our job is to break down the insurance into a way in which people can understand it. Simple process, because our way truly is already broken down, right? How about that? We go through it as professionals, going over our recommendations with them. And the coolest thing is, 2021, people are more apt to listen to technology than listen to people. When people make the technology, but go figure. But they are more apt to listen to technology. Well, if the computer said this is what you need, and it gotta be true, right? I just back the computer up. That's how the process works. So after we get all the information from them and the program is actually spit out on what they need, the next thing is this mandatory read-off letter. Now, keep in mind, it is an actual letter that comes up on the computer screen, but we don't read it. We paraphrase what that letter says. This would be one of the last things I'll read verbatim, the number 2 part right here. So to transition from the 1 to the 2, it says, this is the mandatory read-off letter. Let me see, I just learned to do something called annotate. It's like so cool, which is right here, right? It says, this is the mandatory read-off letter. Instead of reading this whole thing, let me just explain what it says. And then you go right to this part down here. Excuse me. What it's basically saying, what it's basically saying, like if I'm going through the benefits, and you're nodding your head as if thinking, oh my goodness, well, the whole throat gone. Okay, so as I'm going through the benefits, you're nodding your head thinking, wow, these are some great benefits. I can see why they approve this and why everyone is doing this. Go ahead and apply today while I'm out here. But on the flip side, if I'm going through these benefits and you're thinking to yourself, you know, Darren, these are really some great benefits, but they really don't feel a need for me and my family right now, then I'm gonna ask you not to apply. But either way, yes or no, that decision does have to be made today during the service period, right? In fairness to the other people waiting to be seen. So does that make sense so far?
Yep.
Now, whatever you do decide, They still want your opinion in this Google review once I finish. Now, I want to do a great job so I can definitely get a 5-star rating. So if you do have any questions, will you stop me and ask? It definitely says gets agreement and continue. Again, those tie downs. Who can tell me in their own words what they feel like this actual mandatory read off letter is telling the people?
Make a
pretty
decision now.
Less is more. Come on, Anasha. Less is more. Make a decision right now. Right? Make a decision right now. That's all it's saying. Whether it's going to be yeah or whether it's going to be no, you have to make that decision right now. Closing is nothing more than closure. A yes or a no. Right? We have them to agree. Now what that means is when we get to the end, they say something silly like I need to think about it. I can say, Patrick, remember in the beginning, when we went to get mandatory read off letter and they said if you see something that fit the family's needs, you actually enroll today. Remember that part when you agreed? Remember that? Patrick, you remember? Yeah, you're on mute, but I'm gonna figure you said yes. Makes sense. This is the part they were talking about. Right? This is the part. So with that being said, which option works best for you and the family? Option A or option B? Or which one were you going with today, option A or option B? Make sense?
Yes.
This is one of those things that you have to know verbatim. You have to. Because I'm going to tell you something. Me saying like this, what it's basically saying is, and me doing like this, what it's basically saying is, are two different things. Who can tell me the difference of what I just done?
Check me out.
Check me out. What it's basically saying is, and what it's basically saying is,
Looking in the eyes.
small things. You would think I'm looking in your eyes, Pedro, but I am actually looking directly in the camera,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
naturally, when we're speaking on Zoom, we look at the people pictures, naturally.
Right.
But when I'm looking at your pictures, it almost is like I'm reading something, right?
Yeah.
It looks like I'm not engaged. It looks like I'm not really paying full attention. But when I'm
Right.
here, I'm looking at every person individually on the screen right now by looking directly in the camera. So what it's basically saying is that as I've gone through the benefits, you're nodding your head, you're thinking, wow, Dan, these are some great benefits. I can definitely see why people enroll. Of course, I'm gonna ask you to do the same. Bigger difference. Make sense?
Yeah.
This is also the biggest reason why it's always great to learn your script verbatim, to get extremely familiar with it, because just as small as that is, that tip, very, very, very big impact. Very, very big impact. Now, mandatory read off letter, you must stick it. You have to. You have to. Now, you get your agreement, and then, of course, you move forward. Next thing is, it's going to be something on your script that's actually called a list of concerns. The list of concerns is an actual list that you would read out line by line. So it goes on the screen so that the client can see it, and you just go through the list. That is something you do not have to memorize verbatim. Now, the very last concern on that list is going to be affordability.
Emerge.
Is that like, that's not, is that a TV?
Oh, no, it's just kind of distracting.
Yeah, it's very distracting. I can barely hear.
Yeah, just, you can, if that's like, I don't know if somebody's in the background, you could definitely just mute that. I don't, yeah. Okay. So, back to this portion on the list of concerns, the very last concern is going to be affordability. And what this is going to really do is, again, we're beating future objections. We're beating future objections. So with this one, the last concern is affordability. We sit down, people making $7 an hour, some making 77. Some are working tons of overtime. Some people laid off. They wanted this to be affordable for everybody. So Joe, imagine this. Imagine your boss came up to you tomorrow at work and tells you that because business has been good, the company is going to start paying you for 41 hours instead of 40 hours, right? 41 hours instead of 40 hours. So John, with that 1 hour, are you and Mary going out and buy matching Ferraris? They're going to say, of course not, right? Are you going to start construction on your dream house? Are you like, starting a vacation that you always plan with 1 extra hour? Of course not. And then on the flip side, your boss comes up to you like everything's a little slow, but instead of laying you and your coworkers off, we're gonna send you home an hour early on Friday. So now you'll be working and getting paid for 39 hours instead of 40 hours. So by working 1 less hour a week, would you have to get rid of cable? Would you have to cancel dentist appointments? Like, would you have to cancel any and all extracurricular activities? They're always gonna say no. Because think about it, if you work 1 less hour on the job, would that really kill you, your dreams, and all your bills? Of course not. What we're doing is we're teaching the client how to think, because our program is put together to not go over 1 hour a week of their wages. So in simplest terms, they're working, I'm talking about they take 1 hour out of their pay to protect the other 39 hours that they're getting paid. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So 1 hour of your wages is used every Monday of the week, like your first hour of every Monday is used to protect the other 39 that you work. That's a thought process. So in a power phrase, you can say, hey, I know for a fact an hour each way wouldn't really change the way you live. But if these concerns that we went over are not taken care of, it can be devastating to your family's future. And that's a real statement. That's a real statement. I don't know who've been through things like that before, but I've been there. 11 years ago, October 17th, 11 years ago, I had a real bad motorcycle accident. I was in a hospital for a month and a half. No health insurance, no life insurance, no nothing. Broke neck, broke back, pierced artery, full arm amputation, right? I'm in the hospital, had to sell every single thing I own to get the county insurance because I had to be below a certain poverty line, right? I had to be below that line. So I look back and I'm like, well, if somebody would have maybe came, knocked on my door, or somebody would have possibly called me, put me on Zoom, or sponsored me for some life insurance benefits, me and my family would have probably been in a lot better position back then, because they do have the dismemberment clauses in a lot of our policies. That 20,000 at that point would have done my family great. Like, I was denied for the disability 3 times. I had to take them to court and lost the whole arm, right? They told me if I would have lost movement in my hand, I would have been immediately approved. I looked down like, I'm pretty sure the hand's not moving. It's not there. But I had to go to court for that. Think about it. That's the world we in. So again, looking forward, I do this for a very particular reason. So I take it serious, right? I take it serious. So again, when everything like life lines up with what we do here, because any of us can take some type of experience that we had along the way and tie it into insurance on how and why it benefits. it's a little something in the very beginning called the personal value statement, which is right along this portion right here. Oh, y'all see where it says personal value statement right here?
Yeah.
At that point is when you would give that type of story, by the way. It just kind of tied in to where we were with the hour's wage. But at that point is when you would basically go through something from your actual life to kind of tie it in to the importance of the insurance. Everything ties together. Everything ties together. So now, let's scroll back down. We knocked out the affordability. This portion right here says introduction to two-job worksheet. Please write down the Ben Franklin close. You can definitely just look up Ben Franklin close later on, but the Ben Franklin close is a type of closing method that we teach across the board. Of course, I'm going to teach multiple ways, but all the Ben Franklin close is more so like a comparison. Like, this is where you at right now. You have absolutely nothing to take care of this. This is the plan that we're proposing, and this what that protects. It's just a comparison close. Ben Franklin close. So look it up, and it would really, really, really help you completely understand how we actually close, because it says the introduction to the two-job worksheet. That's all to do with closing. You guys going to get a packet with all this information in it as well, to keep everything simple, to keep everything easy. Now, as far as the actual benefits, they're pretty self-explanatory from that point, because as you're going over all the benefits, our script also teaches you what they are and what they do. So product knowledge comes in directly from your script. This is something called the A71,000. It's basically a plan that says, you know, if you went to the hospital for an accident, we'll pay you for going to the hospital. If you're in a hospital overnight, we'll pay you $200 a night. 5 nights will be $1,000 payout to your family. Like, these are things, as you can see, are also in the script. That's to continue on the deal. And you see what it says right here in red? Tie down. Very important. Never, ever, ever skip your tie down. Now, the next line says introduction to final expense. Obviously, the final expense is nothing more than life insurance. We have concepts here. All we sell is life insurance, but we have it in the concept of final expense protection. We have it in the concept of income protection. We have the concept of children's education. Y'all catch what I mean by concept, right?
Right.
Yeah, what you think I mean by concept?
You're putting it into perspective for them to in a way that's more meaningful.
Okay, let me find you change your name to Jen. Let me find out. But that is true. That is true. What you gonna say, Jen?
I don't have anything to add.
I hear you.
Sorry. I don't have anything to add to that. Sorry.
Okay, check this out. Think about it like this. Concept. I'm gonna tell you that, okay, you need to protect your income. Like, I feel like you should have income protection that's gonna give your family 5 years of your income when something happened to you. By the way, we do recommend 5 years, but income protection is nothing more than life insurance. It's just what you're gonna use it for. That makes sense?
Right.
You have two things. You have benefit versus feature. Benefit versus feature. Benefit versus feature. We sell people on benefits. The feature is what it does. The benefit is what it does for me. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Feature, what it does. Benefit, what it does for me. Nobody gives a crap about the features. I want to know, how would this income protection work for my family? Well, what does it do? Is it provide your wife, Jane, with your income for 5 years, for 60 months in a row, every single month, to make sure that when you die, she don't have to move out of the house you got for her, and she can stay in the lifestyle that you afforded her with. Oh, wow, that benefits me a lot. Follow me? Feature versus benefit. Now, child's education, you'll definitely learn about that as you scroll through. Children's rider, more insurance. All this basically says is it gives the child their own separate $10,000 policy. So the greatest thing about that one is it covers up to 9 kids. One rider at $625 a month covers up to 9 kids. So Patrick, if you want to have like a basketball team and a few subs, bring them. We'll cover them all. Make sense?
Right.
It says intro right there, and then it says recap, and then it says tie down. Intro, recap, tie down. Please write down IRT. Intro, recap, tie down. Introduce the benefit, recap it, tie it down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
And then a follow-up tie down would be, well, Steve, how does that make sense for your family? Now I'm digging more. I'm digging deeper. All I'm really doing is getting him to sell himself, because that's what we do. We don't convince people. We convince them,
To
or
sell
we get
themselves.
them to convince themselves. Spot on. We don't convince them. We get them to convince themselves by asking the right questions. See
That's
what that be
brilliant.
important, Miss Jen? So why would that be important for your family? That's the steps. What you got, Patrick?
I was just saying, I think that's brilliant because let's be honest, they know you're a salesperson, right? They know when you come in that you're a salesperson. And everything I've ever bought in my life and 30 years of career sales experience, I can tell you one thing. Nobody believes they don't believe salespeople until they built a relationship of trust with you. So anything you say is viewed with suspicion, whereas anything that you get them to agree to that they say is the God's honest truth, even
Good
if
point.
it was,
Good point.
even if it wasn't true.
Good point. People buy from those they like, know, and trust. Across the board. People they like, know, and trust. We'll get into some of the things he just said again a little later on in training, especially for people who kind of fresh to this side of the deal. But a key thing to always remember is never really flat out call them wrong. Your clients I'm speaking on, because they hate that. It's like, even if you win the argument, you lose the sale. So did you really win? It's always a way to say things. And again, my job is to teach that portion for sure. And I got you on that one all day long. So now, sliding down again, more features of our benefits, right? More features. And then of course you tie it in to the actual benefit. Terminal illness rider. Basically saying if a person became terminally ill, well, they can take half of their money out while living. Bucket list, pay bills, whatever the case may be. Permanent and portable, strike waivers. Another one of the biggest things about us is that the majority of people have insurance through their jobs. And that's amazing. But understand this, we are a part of a union, all of us. And we mainly work with unions, a lot of them. And the deal is the unions send us out to their union members' homes, even though they all have insurance through the job. Well, they do that for the simple fact that when that person leaves that job, what else do they leave?
Your benefits.
They leave the benefits. They leave the benefits. That's where our importance lies, right? Permanent and portable. So we see these people when they're the youngest and the healthiest, they'll be the rest of their life. Get them a plan that will also stay with them the rest of their life. Even through retirement, it stays with them. Even when job changes, it stays with them because they own it. Makes sense? Also, it says a strike and layoff. Well, if they're with a union and they go on strike, well, we'll come in, pay all their benefits up to a full year. If they're laid off, we'll come in, pay all the benefits up to 90 days. Those are when people need their insurance the absolute most, and we are there for them to make sure they keep the thing they need the absolute most. To go a little further, when these unions be striking, we right out there on the strike lines with them, passing out water. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna stand in the front, especially when it's hot, but I'm gonna come and give them some water and go back and sit down. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna be honest. But we are there. We definitely are there. So the benefits come with obviously them being permanent and portable, as well as the strike and the layoff waivers. Those are completely no cost additions we put on just so they can actually protect their most important asset, which happens to be the family, period. Now, still scrolling through, these are basically self-explanatory, and then we get down to the actual close. Simple as could be. Now, what I went over with you just now, because again, I went through all the benefits with the client, what I went over with you just now is what the software says you need for your family to be fully protected. Now, it's only an investment of $30 a week. This definitely gets your protection set up for your entire family. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. If I just said investment of $30 a week and I stop there, only thing you thinking in your mind is $30 a week. But when I say it's $30 a week to get the protection set up for your entire family, what's on your mind is getting the protection set up for the entire family. So when I tell y'all every single thing is for a purpose, I promise you I mean it. Somebody asked me, hey man, how much this insurance is a month? Oh, it's $50. Man. Or if they say the same question, how much is it a month? Oh, it's $50 a month, you know, for the future protection of your family. Or it's a $50 investment a month for your family's protection or for your family's future. All that they're thinking is about the family's future because I'm leading them that way. So please pay attention to the small things. It happens a lot. Pay attention to the small things. So then I go basically in what's called a blind close, right? Because me, I don't need a yes to keep going. Just don't tell me no. You follow me? I don't need a yes because in my mind, you agreed to me this far because I had all my tie downs in place. You agreed at every level that I said. You even told me, Steve, why this was so important to your family and what it would do for your family. So why wouldn't you get it? Why wouldn't you? In my mind, why wouldn't you? Right? So now, so look, protection for your entire family. Now, guys, the reality is that money doesn't buy insurance. Your health does. So now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to run through a few questions to make sure I can get you qualified. Now, what I've successfully done is I gave you all the benefits and then I took them away from you. Now, you're hoping that these questions I ask you don't disqualify you. That's what you're hoping. You're like, oh, hell, what he about to say now? That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, God, dog, I thought I had him. No. And it's amazing how people will fight more for what they have to qualify for than what's just given to them. I don't know if, I know maybe one or two of y'all are seasoned enough to remember when to open up a bank account, they'd be like, and you can qualify for a toaster if you open up a bank account. Like that was back in the day. Like we really never used toasters back then, but just the fact to qualify for it, it like really made you go down there and like, okay, where my toaster at? Like, you know what I mean? Like something about the qualifying part of it, which is why that part is in there. So before I go, get too far ahead of myself, I'm running through a few questions to make sure I can get you qualified. Now, the money is not the front runner. The front runner is being able to qualify. So even if the money was a problem when you said 30 a week, I've removed that and made it secondary because it's not even a guarantee you can get this now. So if you can get it, right, you need to get it now because it's not a guarantee your health will remain like this tomorrow. Do everybody see that connection?
Yep.
Everything matters. And guess
That's
what else is
powerful.
good? Everything is real. You are one doctor's visit. Matter of fact, we are one doctor's visit away from being completely uninsurable. We all are. Like I can have something freak happen to my heart or something, God forbid, I go down to the emergency room, they keep me overnight just by running some observations, right? I am uninsurable now for a full year. Just by that, and that is real. Just by that, I go to the doctor and they find out, oh, now I got high blood pressure. Are you sure, doc? Yeah, take this lisinopril home with you. Wow. Now I am uninsurable for a year because in their mind, it hasn't been proven that it's controlled, right? Insurance is a gamble for the insurance company, that is. They're putting insurance on you, Jennifer, based off of your medical records, based off of their tables, trying to pretty much calculate how much longer you have left on this earth so that everybody can still profit from it. That's what they're thinking about. Be honest. People don't like insurance companies at the top CEOs. Well, let me back up. Our CEO is definitely a different type of guy because I came up with him, so I know him personally. The board, let me say that, the board he works for, guess what they care about?
Profit.
Ending of the day numbers, baby, profits. That's what the board cares about. So when they getting all these little rules and stuff together, they're adjusting it due to things like what they call that, the index, like what age people typically die at or whatever the case may be. Lifespan deal. The lifespan, they're looking at the lifespan deal like, okay, now let's make these changes according to this year's life expectancy, right? That's how they work. So when I say things like this, when the script says things like this, it is serious. And these are things that you do not miss because again, everything plays its part. Now check this out. After the QR questions, everything went, pretty decent. The client is sitting there not really knowing if the questions that they ask me are gonna disqualify them. They don't know. So they staring at me, I'm staring at them, right? We staring at each other, right? And then I say after that, you know what, Amanda, it truly just takes one yes in the wrong location to make you uninsurable for the rest of your life. And now these people are thinking like, damn, what did I say yes on? You know what I'm saying? Like it's questions inside of those questions to where you must answer yes, right? Some of them you must answer yes. So now they're thinking back like, what did I say yes on again? And I pause because I'm dramatic like that, right? And then I say, now look, I'm not the underwriter, but based on your answers, we should definitely be able to get you qualified. Woo! Shit, huh? Big bead of sweat come off their head now, right? Because I built the value up in the beginning, I pretty much deciphered where their gaps are. Because keep in mind, when a person go to the doctor's visit just for a regular routine checkup, and the doctor finds issues, mass or something in their body, they didn't know they had it, so they didn't know they needed anything for it, right? Our presentation is designed to put a scalpel to their life, peel back the layers on exactly where they are vulnerable. Most people I know will be like, yeah, man, I got 100,000 of insurance, I'm good. Oh, okay, it sounds good saying it like that. But then you break it down a little bit further, right? I got a house that's 250,000. I got a $50,000, $60,000 car loan still left out, right? I got to send kids through college 100,000 plus. Not to mention, I got my family that have to keep up with the living they're doing right now without my income. So if I tell you I make $50,000 a year, right? And I tell you that the program says I need 5 years of my income to be protected. 5 and 5, that is $250,000 of income protection I need off the back. And I only have $100,000 of insurance. Not to mention, funerals between 15 and 20,000 right now. The next 20,000, the next 20 years, there'll be 30,000 and up, right? How much more coverage do I actually need now more than that 100,000? That's the point. That's the point. That's what we do. We show them where the gaps are, show them where they're at versus where they need to be, and then we help get them there. That's our job. So to be honest with you, the way you deliver that information is everything. The way you deliver it is everything, because the value is in the delivery. I can read everything just bland that I just went through, and you guys would be like, man, this shit'll never work. But I can read it the way I need to read it. Write this down: voice influx, voice inflection. Definitely just Google that. Look up a few YouTube videos on voice inflection, voice influx all by itself. The way people say stuff, right? I used it's the coolest one I know how to use, like when women like call each other the B word, right? Depending on how they say it, you know whether they finna fight or they just finna hug and go home together. Depending on how they say it. Voice influx. It's like 8 or 9 different ways to say the same exact thing. I know Zig Ziglar had one out when he was saying, I didn't say he stole the money. He's like, I didn't say he stole the money. I didn't say he stole the money. I didn't say he stole the money, right? I just said like 3 different things, but I said the same thing 3 times. Like, that's the voice inflection. That's the voice influx. I went out with my first trainer, and he sat down a presentation, and I thought it was just so cool how he was doing it, how he sounded. It was like, I'm like, man, this is amazing. I'm tearing up in the presentation. I'm an agent, I'm training. He started talking about his son. His son actually died from cancer at age 10. He went from 5 to age 10 fighting cancer. So he told his story, his testimony, no testimony. But anyway, he told his story, and I was like, man, I never heard that. So I'm watering up, big men don't cry. So I'm trying to fake it out, like something in my eye. But anyway, I got in the car. I was like, man, that was amazing, man. What in the world? I'm thinking, like, how did he sound like that believable in his deal? So as we started training me a little bit more, he's talked about voice inflection, right? And what he said was, all it is, Darren, is my voice going up, going down, going fast, going slow. 4 elements. That's it. So important stuff, I tend to drop my voice and I drag what I want to be more important. Now I do it is just natural. If it's something that's not really that important, I might say a little bit louder and go a little faster. I don't need it in your brain, no big deal. Like you asked me how much it is a month. Oh, it's a $50 investment, to protect your family's future. I'm doing everything on purpose. It's on purpose now. So one thing to definitely look up again is that voice inflection and voice influx. But the main thing right now is to get your script down. The only thing between you and 100,000 plus a year career is this script. Monica told y'all she made 156,000 her first year. Shit, I didn't. I'm not gonna tell y'all I'm a her in my first year. No, it took me a little longer to get started because I wasn't fully bought in, truth be told. I wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong. I started in July 2013, and I turned on June, July, August, September, October. I finally took it serious in November, right? So it took me 3-4 months to get serious. By December, I pretty much won. Let me see, what year is that? January. Yeah. So by December, I pretty much won all the freaking monetary awards that Steve Greer was giving out at that time. And it rolled into January. I won first place agent of the entire agency out of maybe about 80 something people, first place over everybody. And then I kept growing from there. I kept growing. But it took me taking this thing serious. Very beginning, again, your script, man. From even with starting slow, from January to December, my 1099 still showed like 56,000. So I guess we can say I was still on the roll. It was decent. I don't really brag about money a lot. The only time I talk about money is when I am talking about the opportunity. Because if a person like me could come on this deal starting slow, speeding up, ramp up, can make what I make now, and I feel like anybody can do it. You guys are gonna possibly hear in the agency meeting come Monday. Last week I made over 24,000. Last week. It's possible. But you got to work for it. When you hear numbers like that, it requires work. It does. The good thing about the work is it's kind of been prepared for you on how to stay on the course. It's been prepared. The script is there, the teachings is there, the coaching is there. You just have to implement. You want to show us you appreciate us? Implementation is the biggest form of flattery, period. Right? Period. So other than that, man, do anybody have any questions for me as far as expectations moving forward?
No, I mean,
Good here.
Scripts, right? If you have not, or if you just got your script, that means you have 1 week to get your script all the way down. That's what that means. If you have your script already, obviously come Monday, you should pretty much be starting your field training, period. A few tips on learning the scripts. You can write it down. You can say it out loud over and over. You can even record yourself saying it, audio, and just listen to it in your ears over and over and over and over. Everybody have the mock presentation as well, like the one with Gerardo going through the presentation?
Yes.
yeah.
No,
No, I actually don't. She sent it to me, but I can't open it. It's too large for me to open on my phone or my computer.
Okay,
So
that's the one she must ask me about YouTube.
Yeah, she said that you were trying to upload it by YouTube, but I haven't received the link for it.
All right, I'll send it. No worries. I'll send it to you today.
Okay.
So just know, man, the leaguers that jumped on this deal, they have your backs 1,000%. We're not perfect, so please bear with us. We make mistakes like everybody else. I think one of the differences from a lot of other people is we own up to our mistakes when we make them. Just make sure if you make a mistake, you own up to yours as well. We're in this thing together. not separately. Yes, it's an individual sport, but the team thrives together. Nobody wins until we all win. So again, man, thank you guys for being here. I want to thank y'all for choosing us. And I will definitely have my leaders individually. They're going to send out their phone numbers to you guys. They're also going to let you know which direct one be working with you. Of course, like Pedro, you already know. I think Sean already knows as well. Maybe Patrick already knows as well too. If not, we're going to make sure everybody knows. I know Nash, you know who you're working with. But leaders will be contacting you all by today with a formal one-on-one introduction, and we're gonna rock and roll from now. Just please, please, please help us to help you. It's a mutual thing. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Get on
Absolutely.
y'all screen spin, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks,
you.
Darren.
You, Darren. Yep.
Thank you.
See you later, everybody.
Have a great one.
See you later.